I hate monopolies.
I want to say thank you to all of my Patreon supporters who help support the channel. Also, I want to say thank you to my Twitch subscribers. Help the channel out by donating or go to patreon.com. Thank you.
So there has been a ongoing court battle, which I think a lot of people have like not realized how bad this shit can actually be. And what do I mean? Microsoft made a bid to try to buy the Call of Duty manufacturer, Activision Blizzard. Now, although I don't play a lot of Activision games, I do play Diablo. I have Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. One of these days, I'm going to actually stream and play more of it. But I have Diablo. Am I going to get Diablo 4? I don't know, because Diablo, and it's just like, after Diablo 3, it's like the story kind of went sideways really after 2, but yeah. But when it comes down to it, I think it's very telling that well, so many people, especially people who are Microsoft fans, are so yay, yay, Microsoft won against the FTC, and yay, yay. Now Sony is bad because reasons, and all this other good bullshit, and it's just like, y'all are clapping, y'all are motherfucking celebrating that Microsoft gets to buy Blizzard, with all the history that Microsoft has done with video games in the last few years. Y'all are happy about it. And most people that I'm watching videos from, the take that they're having is like, yeah, it's a good thing because we're gonna get games cheap, and you know, yeah, I'm not gonna spend a lot of money on games. And I saw one person that kind of had a more sobering take on it. And well, we're gonna watch our boy Mudahar. Let's see what he has to say about this.
Me, Mutahar, and a pretty massive W for Microsoft, it seems, ladies and gentlemen. Now, for those of you who've been following the gaming space like me, you've probably noticed for like the last year plus, almost like 2 years at this point, Microsoft has been trying to buy Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard being one of the largest gaming publishers out there. You might have heard of indie games like Diablo 4, Call of Duty.
Yeah, so Microsoft is spending almost $70 billion for Activision Blizzard, which is a lot of fucking money. It's not like they have money to spare, even though they just announced a round of layoffs because reasons. But like, let's go.
Modern Warfare 2. Heck, you might have even played Overwatch 2, okay? Or at least, like, read the fan fiction or whatnot. But ladies and gentlemen, this deal has been kind of on the fringes, and there's been people who have honestly had betting pools of either the deal will go through or it will not. Now, for context sake, there's 3 companies in the world that are kind of like the biggest players in the gaming console.
So, yeah, it's been a thing, and if you're not a gamer or if you're not in hardcore gaming, yeah, most people just haven't been paying attention to it. They just recently had a hearing on whether or not a temporary injection should go through. But let's go.
Console space, okay? You've got Nintendo, one of the largest companies in Japan. Sony, one of the largest companies in Japan too, not as big as Nintendo, but sizable. And then, of course, you've got Microsoft. Now, when I talk about size,
So some of the big three gaming companies, as far as console gaming, you have, of course, as he stated, Nintendo, which is a fucking megalithic monster. You have Sony, which in and of itself is actually pretty good. Hey, been playing Sony since Sony's been coming out. I've had all five. I forget this fucking planet has eclipses. I've had all five systems, and in some cases, multiple of the same systems. And then you have Xbox. So that's where it's going along, like where that competition actually lead. But let's go.
Microsoft dwarfs Nintendo and Sony, okay? Now, I know that some people in the gaming space might take offense to that, but facts are facts, okay? Microsoft, and that's not including just Xbox, Microsoft as a whole is one of the largest tech companies on the planet. In fact, tons of the internet infrastructure is entirely dependent on them. Believe it or not, the most used desktop operating system, it's not so hard to believe, is Microsoft. I may not be a Windows lover, I might be a Linux lover.
So this is one of the things that a lot of people were just like, Microsoft is claiming that they're just a poor little company and they can't compete with companies like Sony and Nintendo, where most operating systems in the world are Windows. I'm sorry, I'm confused about that one. Like, wait, what? Your most of your operating systems in the world are Windows. How is that not a thing? But let's go.
But Windows is still one of the largest operating systems on the planet. And of course, the foothold Microsoft has in gaming is not to be joked around with. I know that we laugh at Microsoft exclusives like Halo isn't doing all that well, I haven't seen a new Gears game come by, and holy.
And you know what? This is actually true. One of the reasons why I never actually bought a Microsoft console for myself, I actually bought a One S for my daughter. But one of the reasons why I never bought a console for myself is because they don't have too many exclusives that would entice me to buy a console. But let's go.
Hell, Forza is pretty much the only thing that gleams Xbox AAA to me. But that doesn't shy away from the fact they've got money to spend. So this deal is one of the largest deals in gaming space, and because of how sizable Activision Blizzard and their entire presence is on the gaming space, there have been antitrust lawsuits thrown around. Now, for anybody who's followed Microsoft as long as I have or is old like me, you know that Microsoft and antitrust go together like fucking apple pie and America. Microsoft is a big company, and if it comes down to like antitrust, they pretty much were the start of antitrust situations all the way back to the browser wars, all the way back to Windows, so on and so forth.
So this is actually true. So a lot of people don't realize how big Microsoft's footprint is. They think Xbox, and you see what's going on with the Xbox, and you think, oh, well, they're not really that big. They're pretty small when it comes to gaming. No, Microsoft Games is fucking huge. Just because it's not called Xbox, which the Xbox portion of a lot of shit is small, but Microsoft Games is huge. I remember actually going, like, there has been, they actually had such a domination in Microsoft and their gaming sector that's the reason why you see a lot of you had a lot of games using had to use the DOS system, because that they just made it default in order to play a lot of games. That's one of the reasons why, the prevalence of like their foothold in gaming, because oh yeah, we're gonna make our gaming easy to access, and oh yeah, not only do you have a gaming machine, but you can also do spreadsheets on this machine as well. Microsoft Gaming, not Xbox, Microsoft Gaming is fucking huge. It's fucking massive. And along with their the streaming that they're trying to do right now, no, you like that, it's huge. But they're crying poverty because, well, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's go.
So when it comes to gaming, trying to buy one of the biggest publishers, you bet there were some parties that weren't exactly taking too kind to it. So what effectively happened, ladies and gentlemen, is today Microsoft, a federal court, declined to grant the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, a temporary restraining order that would actually keep Microsoft from closing this transaction.
So that's all that was done. That's all that was actually done. Not that it was, oh yeah, we're gonna let the deal go completely through. It was the FTC literally says, let's not let them do this right now. Let's motherfucking wait. Let's put that deal on hold. But if you actually go and look at some of the coverages that other people were actually doing, even coverages like big channels were doing. Oh yeah, the FTC got their ass kicked. No, the only thing that happened was the judge didn't approve the temporary injunction, which the FTC still had the opportunity to appeal the decision of the judge, who, by the way, which didn't make any sense to me, has a son that works for Microsoft. That was weird that they kept that. And the judge actually stated it. They kept that case in front of that judge. But let's just go.
Now, to be fair, this doesn't mean Microsoft is out of the woods. In fact, they could still have an FTC antitrust lawsuit, which could allege that the purchase would actually harm competition in the gaming space. So you might be wondering, why does this happen? Well, it's because if you have one company that is so goddamn big that when competing with other companies, it could simply just buy out the competition. That's not healthy. Competition is required. It's one of the regulating forces we have to make sure monopolies don't exist. Unfortunately, monopolies, duopolies, they still do exist.
So, this is where I kind of question some of the wisdom that you see a lot of people who are big Xbox fans say. They say that, yeah, they're gonna take Call of Duty and make it a Microsoft exclusive, or put it on day and date on the Xbox, and it's just like, that's stupid, because if you're just trying to, I don't know, get a monopoly for your specific console, they're gonna think that they have no competition, and they're just gonna give you bullshit. Like, that's what all companies do. They feel that they have a monopoly, and then they stop trying so hard. But let's go.
But we're trying the best we goddamn can, right? So the FTC says they're disappointed in the outcome, given that the clear threat this merger poses to open competition in cloud gaming, subscription services, and consoles. Now, for those of you wondering, Microsoft has pretty much been like fucking flaming themselves and saying, listen guys, we're not the biggest player in the space. Everyone else is bigger than us.
Yeah, and this is the shit, this like, they haven't, and this was actually put in the court case. The FTC brought this as part of the evidence of how Microsoft would say, oh, we're not the biggest, oh, we're not the biggest, oh, this company is bigger than us, oh, this competition is real competition, but this isn't real competition. And there would just be lies on the stand. And this is one of the things that, like, are you reflectively bending the truth? And I don't want to relitigate the court case, but you're reflexively bending the truth in order to say that, hey, we're not really that big. We're a small company compared to everybody else, but you're paying $70 billion to buy another publisher. Yeah, you're not that big with $70 billion. Okay, let's go.
Conveniently, obviously, forgetting the fact that when it comes to the war chest, there's still the sizable like group out there. Of course, this doesn't again mean that they're out. The FTC could appeal it. The last actual obstacle Microsoft has is with the Competition and Markets Authority in the United Kingdom, which even that doesn't seem to be a big deal when Brad Smith, the vice chair and president of Microsoft over here, literally said, after today's court decision in the US, our focus now turns back to the UK. While we ultimately disagree with the CMA's concerns, we are considering how a transaction might be modified in order to address those concerns that in a way that is acceptable to the CMA. Now, of course, if you were looking into this deal, basically Microsoft said we'll make deals with like all the other small cloud providers so we can give some of the Activision games to them as well, even though they're going to be in direct competition with them.
So one of the things that also came up, and this is like the and I'm gonna bring up these points. And this is just how odd this whole thing was. During the court case, Microsoft execs actually said, "Oh, we're gonna make all of the versions of Call of Duty. We're gonna keep them with parity among each other. In other words, we're gonna make Call of Duty available on the Nintendo Switch, and we're gonna have the standard for all of our games that we're gonna put on at consoles are gonna have the standard of all of the games." By that standard, Microsoft has just said that, oh yeah, no, we know that like the Switch is the less powerful console, and we're gonna make all of our games look and run as if they're at least running on the Switch. And that's stupid to me because yeah, you don't have the same parity of all of the consoles. But let's go.
Actually doing the best they can to not come across like the fucking monopoly that they are. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you following this deal too, Call of Duty, yes, was one of the largest points of contention. Now, Call of Duty is a game that I think we all can agree is probably one of the most played AAA shooters on the planet. There are people, normies, that don't watch my videos, don't even give a shit about gaming. But when it comes time to come home from the 9 to 5, they're playing Modern Warfare with the boys, okay, with the girls. That's just how it works. So Call of Duty is a game that's bought all over Xbox, PlayStation, PC, so on and so forth. And one of the scariest points was if Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard, it's not that they're worried about Overwatch not coming.
So, and this is one of the points that I was just bringing up. Like, one, it's like, why are they, what would be the reason of them buying this other than to just take it and make it exclusive to them or make it day and date on Game Pass? What would be the reason why? And I know, there was communication going back and forth between Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan, and Jim Ryan was actually trying to get Phil Spencer to confirm that current and future titles that were being put out for Activision Blizzard will come to the PlayStation, and Phil Spencer kept saying current titles. It's just like, it makes no sense that people would actually want to have this type of deal be okay. But let's go.
To PlayStation or Diablo or really any game, it's Call of Duty. Call of Duty is one of the largest games on PlayStation right now. So Microsoft ended up having to capitulate a whole heck of a lot, ended up signing like 10-year deals to bring Call of Duty to not just their competitors right now, but all the way over to Nintendo and Nvidia. Meaning that if you're going to be playing Call of Duty on the Switch, it's going to be running through the cloud, and Nvidia, so on and so forth. Meaning that they literally had to go to their competition and say, we will not take away the largest shooter on the planet because the government doesn't want us to do that.
And when you have to say that in order to get a deal through, that just lets me know you want to actually do the shit. Like, that just lets me know that you want to do this shit all of along. But because somebody raised question about it, then, oh, no, we weren't going to take it away. But, all right, let's go.
Then, of course, PlayStation's Jim Ryan literally even said, no matter what, this Call of Duty promise, it's inadequate. Microsoft is literally like a big threat to PlayStation when it comes to Call of Duty. Like Call of Duty, Microsoft and PlayStation understand is the largest cash cow. And even if Microsoft doesn't take away Call of Duty from PlayStation, which they never will, because nobody's going to cannibalize their IP like this, Microsoft can still...
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I've seen Xbox executives make stupid decisions all because they feel that it's going to get them more money. And it's not player friendly decisions. They just make decisions based on what they think will get them more money, even if it hurts the players. But let's go.
Still put Call of Duty on Game Pass, which means for a lot of people who are in the space to buy a console, what are they going to do? You think they're going to go to Microsoft and you think they're going to go to PlayStation, buy a PS5, then buy each Call of Duty for $60 a pop, $70 a pop? No. If they can just buy a cheap ass Xbox Series S and buy Game Pass and get access to all of the Call of Duty games, all of the Diablo games, all of the
Yeah, and see, this is one of the things where I think that a lot of people actually they make that mistake of thinking that, oh yeah, well now it's going to be on all. I'm going to get all of the Activision Blizzard games on Game Pass. Either the game quality will actually suck, or Game Pass is going to start raising its rates. Like, and this is what I don't get about the whole thing. It's just like, Game Pass is going to actually either raise its rates to compensate for the high development costs. Like, it came out during the trial that Sony spent on development costs alone like $200 million on games like Forbidden West, and it was another game that they spent a shit ton of money on. For you to actually think that, hey, no, see what had happened was they're gonna give me a cheap service and a ultra super looking premium game. Like, I don't know what to tell you because companies are just not that generous. They're fairly fucking greedy. But let's go.
Blizzard games, all of Starfield, all of Bethesda stuff. What do you think is a better deal that the gamer sees, the consumer, when it comes to price? No matter what, I'm a physical lover, but for a lot of people who, for gaming, it is an expensive hobby in a time of severe inflation. They're going to buy the system that gives them hundreds of the top quality AAA games right there and then. Now, I personally think Game Pass is kind of diluting a bit of the quality of those games. I think a lot of it is always just, hey, this is some random shit thrown on there. And of course, for a lot of these Game Pass titles, the profitability is obviously questionable. I think for a lot of them, further monetizing these games through microtransactions after you download them through Game Pass is like the smart way to go. Which is both good and bad for the gaming world, is what I'm saying. And I'm not even just...
And see, this is another thing, too. Even if they give you the best motherfucking, experience for something to be on Game Pass, the fact that you see a lot of these games, the microtransactions, the extra DLC, it is fucking horrifying of how they're actually motherfucking taking advantage of gamers. And you think that having a game on Game Pass, Microsoft won't look for other monetization practices? They're trying to buy a cell phone game company. Of course they're going to be looking for monetization. And people are just eating this up. It just doesn't make any sense. Well, let's go.
Talking about preservation. So, of course, at this moment in time, the big point of contention beyond Call of Duty was always going to be the cloud gaming. So, according to the Europeans, CMA, the Competition and Markets Authority, they literally are saying that like 60 to 70% of cloud gaming belongs in the hands of Microsoft. So, they actually do account for 60 to 70% of people playing cloud games. Now, if you don't know, Microsoft has xCloud. So a great example could be if you wanted to play something like Persona 4 Golden. Now, you don't have to even have an Xbox, from what I understand, to do that. You could literally whip out yourself.
And so, like, I get why people say this is convenient. They can play a game that they've played hundreds of times or dozens of times or tens of dozens of times on their cell phone. That's actually great. And more power to you. But as somebody who has I have a Vita, and I know the downgrades of those games versus the actual, full games. It's not the same. But all right, let's go.
Cell phone, go to their like cloud gaming application, and then actually just play Persona 4 Golden through touch controls on your device. Hell, I could play through like 10 hours of Persona on my phone and immediately continue my save file on the Xbox. So Microsoft has like kind of a natural monopoly in that in the cloud gaming world, the world that I personally don't care about, but I guess a lot of people do. A lot of people do actually play their games in the cloud. Microsoft is simply providing a better service than like Amazon or, well, Google doesn't even have Stadia anymore. But you get it, all right? Microsoft is simply providing the better service. So that's where they're sitting at. And obviously, the big scary part is if they buy Activision, these games that people actually want to stream on the cloud could eventually just become exclusive to them. That's really.
And so this is another thing. A lot of game companies are trying to get rid of fucking physical discs. And I'm sorry, like, even though my PlayStation that I have, I do have the discless one. But if those licenses go away, I'm fucked. All the money that I spent on a specific game, I know I'm fucked. If they decide, the license holders decide to take that shit away. Do you know I had to go through for like 2 hours and try to find games that I spent money on the original PlayStation 3? And they were actually popular ones like the X-Men games or the Simpson games. And once that licensing is gone, then I'll be lucky to actually be able to find them again. I literally found some of them because I went to my back history. But what happens when that store is no longer open? A lot of people don't think about that shit. They just think cheap game right now, no matter what the cost will be later. But let's go.
The question being asked over here. Now, I know we've covered a lot in this video right now, but I honestly wanted to get my full thoughts of the situation out. I really don't like the industry consolidating like this because, to be honest with you, I really don't like the fact that these big companies are just buying up blocks of different game publishers. Because I think, honestly, a response to this, and Sony already has kind of done this, they bought Bungie, and from what I think, they might choose to buy Square Enix. And if they have the money, imagine if they bought Take-Two and made Grand Theft Auto suddenly an exclusive to PlayStation.
Okay, everybody keeps saying this, that, oh, Sony's going to buy Square Enix. I don't think that's going to happen. For one, why do they need to? Square has been more than open about the fact that they have issues with Microsoft and its leadership. But two, I don't want Sony buying Square Enix. No, fuck. I don't. Like this, that's gonna be stupid. It's gonna be very stupid. But let's continue.
Products. This is part of the entire industry that I'm not a huge fan of. The only reason I give Microsoft a bit of leeway is because at least their games are showing up on Steam, or showing up on PC, so it's not completely exclusive to their specific plastic box, which, again, could be beneficial for them on selling the Xboxes, but obviously, if you're just in their ecosystem and giving money to them through a sub fee, that's all they really give a shit about. So yeah, ladies and
this is one of the things that I hated hearing. It's not a Microsoft Xbox game customer, it's you're in the ecosystem. That's euphemeric speak. Is euphemeric is a word? I know I'm trying to say euphemism, but I'm trying to do the adjective of it. Well, you're spending your money with us, type game. Like that's no. I don't want to be in an ecosystem. I want to motherfucking buy a game that I want to enjoy. For you saying that I'm in the ecosystem, the next thing you're going to be calling me is whales, minnows, or dolphins. Yeah, no, that's fucking stupid. Anyway. I don't know what else to say. I don't think that Activision Blizzard, like newsflash, the FTC appealed the ruling. So I don't think that this is going away or like everybody else saying it's a done deal. I think there's still going to be some competition. Remember, competition is fucking always great. Whether it's man against their environment or everyone against their environment to make it better, or sometimes PvP. But we all win when companies fight against each other. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe, and I'm cutting this video segment here.
Thank you for watching this video, and the next one should be popping up on your screen. Subscribe, and if you haven't checked it out and want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon. Thanks.